Hey, before we get started, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever thought about teaching your own workshops before? But maybe you've thought, I don't know enough, or where would I even begin, or I've never taught before. If so, you're not alone. But I'm opening the doors to a brand new program called Paint It Forward, the Art of Teaching, where I will teach you how to create and lead powerful, life-changing, and profitable workshops, even if you've never taught a single class in your life. Because I've been teaching for over a decade, from tiny little studios to international workshops. And what I know for sure is you do not need a teaching degree, and you don't need to be the expert of all experts. But what you do need is your own story. You need your own creative journey, and you just need to be willing to share that with others. So we get started August 4th, where I will go live with you every week for this 8-week program. And I'll show you how I went from charging $99 per student to several thousand. So if you considered teaching in the past, just check out the link in my bio for Paint It Forward, because the impact that you can make in someone's life is priceless. Hello there. Welcome back to the Honest Art Podcast. I am your host, Jodie King, and today's topic is one that we usually want to avoid, but we're not going to do that here because we want to get that bag. And we want to sell as much art as possible. And we're going to do that by understanding more fully the legal and financial things that we need to know as artists. Because when we don't know these things, it can cost us a lot of money. And I'm going to tell you some stories in the podcast that's going to shine a light on those. So no more burying our head in the sand. No more, trying to avoid looking at these financial and legal issues. We're going to dive right into it, and it's going to make a big difference in our business. Are you ready? Let's get messy. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is obviously I'm not an accountant. I'm the farthest thing from an accountant, actually. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. So my recommendation to you is to do what I did, and that is to consult with a financial advisor or consult with an accountant. For me, I realized that this is an area of my business that I just couldn't afford to screw up. So I have an accountant that does a lot of this for me. If she's not doing it, if it's kind of out of the realm of or the scope of what she does, she can then advise me of who I need to talk to for it. So definitely talk to an accountant or talk to a financial advisor before you get started on any of these things, but don't ignore them, okay? So the first thing that we need to do, if you haven't already done this, is you want to separate your personal bank account from your business bank account. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be something very fancy. For me, what I did is I just started out with a sole proprietorship, and I went to my local bank and I said, I need to set up a business account with this. And when you do that, the reason it is so helpful is that really can help you track your expenses, and it helps to separate things out so it's easier for you to understand, are you making money, are you not making money? And then ultimately, it's really helpful when it comes to tax season because it's not all muddied up, right? It's all very, very clear that this income was, or these expenses were from your art business. Okay, second thing that I suggest is get yourself a business credit card. Now, for me, I like to use my business credit cards and put everything I can possibly put on them, because then I get points for that. So then what happens is if you're buying canvases or you're buying art supplies or let's say you are shipping a painting, regardless of what your business expense is, when you can put it on your business card, again, it helps to separate those things out. It helps to keep everything very clear. But then if you get a credit card where you get like maybe double points or triple points, I've had a Capital One card that you get great points with. Again, I'm not affiliated with any of these. I'm just telling y'all what I do. Okay, got great points with Capital One, great points with American Express, and great points with Chase Sapphire. So there's lots of options out there, but I can't tell you how many plane tickets that I was able to get free of charge because I had put everything on my business credit card. How many things on Amazon that I was able to get for free because I was using the points from that credit card. So if you haven't separated your finances out with business and personal when it comes to credit cards, highly recommend that you get a business card that gets you extra points. Okay, next thing we're going to need to do, because you are going to be making sales if you haven't already, you need to prepare to get those sales, right? And you're going to need to have a payment system set up. So for me, I have different payment systems for different things. So I have Stripe, which is linked to my website. So if somebody buys a painting or anything is purchased from the website, it goes through Stripe. But Stripe is not always easy, like say if I'm having an open studio. And so for that, you can use PayPal or you can use Square. There's different things you could do. A lot of people also use Venmo Business. So there are different items, different things that you can consider, but look at all of them because there are additional fees for the different payment processing platforms. You're going to need to like work that into your pricing, but don't wait until it's the day of the show and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to receive payments? Like that's not the way to do it. And it's so easy to get set up on PayPal or so easy to get set up on Square. So payment processing is going to be your best friend. Okay, the next thing, and I did touch on this a little bit, it's like how are you going to set up the structure of your business? And I mentioned that when I first started, I set up my business as a sole proprietorship. But then as more sales started coming in and my business began to really grow, I changed it over to an LLC. And the reason is with a sole proprietorship, you don't really have any personal protection from that. But with an LLC, it keeps your personal assets separate from your business assets. So an LLC, limited liability corporation, is where I am at now. And you'll find that as you evolve, that's something that you may want to look into as well. But again, I'm going to go back to like talk to your accountant, talk to an attorney, and get the best advice possible. I feel more protected with an LLC. So that means like if somebody sliced their hand opening up one of my paintings. I don't know what it might be. Maybe somebody slipped and fell at a workshop, something like that. Then they might, if they were litigious, then they might want to sue me. So with an LLC, all my personal assets are protected. They might, go after business stuff, but at least my personal assets are protected. So you can see, as you grow, you probably will want to move out of a sole proprietorship to an LLC. But again, as I said, talk to your CPA, talk to an attorney, and you'll get the best advice. Okay, next thing, you guys. Contracts and agreements. These are so important. We need contracts and agreements on more things than you might think. For instance, anytime somebody contracts me to do a commission, there is a contract associated with that. And I know I've shared my contract before, but basically you can create your own contract, and within it, you spell out the terms of the commission. So for instance, it might say something like, on this date, the person commissioning and the artist agree that there will be no more than 2 revisions to the painting. We agree that these colors or whatever specs have been requested from the collector, you write all of those specs down. You write down that there is a 50% deposit that is due upon the signing of the contract. The other 50% is due. And you can change these percentages, by the way. My whole point is spelling all of that out so that there is no confusion. And there's no confusion on payment especially, but no confusion on any of it. So having all of this written down, and then they sign it, then you sign it, and everybody gets a copy of both. I cannot tell you how many times that has saved my ass. But also contracts with like galleries. Every gallery has a different contract. I know some artists have their own contract that they created to work with the gallery, but galleries have their own contract. And usually within the contract, it states, how long they agree that the representation is for. It'll also say usually the radius that the artist is able to sell from outside of the gallery. So as an example, what that would mean is, let's say that you were accepted representationally to a gallery in, like, I live in Austin, let's say Austin, right? Well, usually the contract would say that I am not able to have representation by another gallery in Austin within a 90-mile radius. So that is just usually a part of every contract. But the point is like when you have these contracts with the galleries, then it's all very clear. You never, I don't care if the contract is for a gallery, it's for a collaboration, it's with an art consultant, a designer, a commission, whatever it might be, you never want to just go by a word of mouth. You always want to have it spelled out in writing. And if you can get some signatures, even better. Definitely signature on the commission. Definitely signatures for galleries. Oh, and here's another one. For those of you who want to teach a workshop, I have contracts and agreements with every place that I teach workshops with. So whether it's a place that we're renting out, there's the contract for that, or whether, I'm teaching in another location, that location will have a contract as well. So don't be surprised by this. And they are going to, they're going to protect you as much as they're going to protect other people. So don't shy away from it. If, however, you do a commission and there is no contract and you get burned, that will be the thing. Well, you'll be like, okay, definitely going to have a contract from here on out. It just protects you all the way around. Big announcement around here. I am announcing my final 2 workshops of 2025. One is in Santa Fe, New Mexico in July, and the other is here in Austin, Texas in October. And I know taking a workshop can feel vulnerable, it can feel scary, but it is truly the fastest way to level up your art. Plus, we just have a ball. So whether you are a beginner or you are a seasoned artist, this workshop will transform your art and leave you feeling like such a badass, knowing that you've got the skills to not only make honest art, but fine art. So one word of caution, if you're interested in joining me, and I hope you will, know that every workshop I have offered in the last 5 years has sold out within days. So I would love to paint with you, and if you'd like to learn more, head to the link in the show notes. Okay, now this next one, taxes. Oh my gosh, taxes. Taxes are the reason that I have an accountant, because we just can't afford to screw this up. Now, obviously there is federal income tax that you have to pay on your sales. But then additionally, there's usually a state tax as well, state sales tax. It's going to be different. That state sales tax is going to be different all the way, for every single state. So I can't tell you what it is, but just know that I was friends with this guy, very, very wealthy guy. And he used to always say, if I haven't paid a lot in taxes, I didn't make enough money. And I loved the idea of that, how it was reframing, paying taxes. And so if you have the honor to pay taxes, that means that you have been selling. So that's a good thing. But usually those taxes for state they're going to be done quarterly. So you'll need to pay quarterly income tax or quarterly, sorry, not income. No, that would be annually. You would need to pay quarterly sales tax. So know that's coming up and be prepared and don't be surprised by it. Okay, now let's talk about licensing. I'm going to do an entire podcast on licensing because I know it has come up a lot. But with licensing, you always want to have an agreement or a contract because it spells out the terms of so many things. For instance, if you get a licensing deal where somebody wants to put your art on pillows, or you get a licensing deal whether it's just a magazine wants to use it, or maybe it's licensing to where there is a hotel that wants to hang your art as prints. These are all going to be licensing things, and they can be a great way to have passive income. So I know a lot of artists that do licensing, and they absolutely, they do quite well with it. But I want to tell you one cautionary tale. This goes back to have everything in writing, and not only have it in writing, but I always recommend having an attorney review the licensing agreement. And here's why. I was working with an artist a few years ago, and she told me the story about her licensing thing that happened. So she was very excited because there was one of these large stores. If I said the name of the store, you would know it, especially if you're in the U.S. One of the large stores wanted to have her work on some of their home goods in the store. She signed the agreement, and she was very excited, and she and a friend went to this particular store. They picked up the pillows. They did the photos. She celebrated. She couldn't be happier. And then months later, she got a check in the mail for her share of that licensing agreement. And it was pennies. The amount that she was paid was less than $1. And it was then that she went back and she reviewed the licensing agreement, and she saw what she should have seen in the beginning. So unfortunately, there are some places that have some unscrupulous licensing things that go down. So I always say, if you can, obviously you want to read it. For me, in my brain, sometimes that my eyes just gloss over, the first page, and then I just scan it. You don't want to scan a licensing agreement. You want to have an attorney look it over, or if you can focus, if you're one of those focusing type, lucky you, then you can go ahead and do it yourself. But those licensing agreements are always a good idea. So those are some of the must-dos as an artist. These are some of the financial things that we just can't look away from. And it reminds me of I read a book once, and it was the traits that all successful people have, not just artists, but in every different sort of occupation. And one of the traits of the most successful people is they didn't look away from their finances. We do have a tendency to be more right-brained, be more creative, and to shy away from those sorts of things. But if we really want to enjoy the success and financial success, we do have to pay attention to these things. And remember, money is just energy, right? And it's like a relationship. And with any relationship, if you look away for too long in the relationship, then that relationship is going to fizzle. And we don't want that with these financial things. And these things are not hard either. We just can't look away. We cannot bury our head in the sand. We've got to take a look at all of them, and we've got to have a belief system that, yes, just because we are more right-brained, it doesn't mean that we can't do these things. So I hope you find these items helpful. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, man, I would just love it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, helps us get the word out to more artists around the world. And then if you're listening to this on your favorite platform, would you mind giving us 5 stars and a nice review? That helps us out as well. Okay, you guys, take good care of yourselves and each other. Peace out. I have a question. Do you have a dream or a goal of making a career out of your art? Well, there's a saying, a goal without a plan is actually nothing more than a wish. So I've got good news because applications are now open for my 6-month high-touch mentorship program called Studio Elite. And Studio Elite gives you that plan. It gives you the roadmap, it gives you the skills, and it gives you the community to get you to your goals faster. And I keep it intentionally small so that every artist gets personalized coaching, and the results have been astonishing. Just in the last year, one artist sold over 20 paintings in 1 month. Another artist had sold almost $100,000 in art in 1 year. One started an entire home goods line, one got a $10,000 commission, and many of them finally got accepted to exclusive art fairs, exhibitions, and galleries. So if this sounds like something that is on your bucket list, then I would say let's go for it. And if you're ready to make the big moves, I'd love to work with you in Studio Elite. You can find the application in the link in the show notes. Okay, guys, real quick, while I've got you, I've got to tell you about something really, really exciting, and that is the Honest Art Society. The Honest Art Society is my membership group where I'm able to finally offer artists all of the things that you've been asking for. So you get monthly training, you get coaching calls, you get monthly art critiques, there are guest speakers, there is studio hour where we'll paint together, and also you get exclusive discounts and offers, and you get to hear about things that happen first. All for only $47 a month. So I hope you will join me in this group with amazing artists as well. So go to the link in the show notes to find out more about the Honest Art Society.